On the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you. Martin, I can remember when we came to Summer, and you playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. And you could figure out you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and I learned that fix in fact. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show can be seen being broadcast on Martin Houston Live on Facebook and YouTube under the same name, at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter, and at Tide 109 on Facebook as well. It's a beautiful morning, and we're live and local and ready to get things going. We're opening up the shop with the Alabama One hotline. I want to invite you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904. 205-342-9904. The Alabama One hotline is open for business. As we move into the show, reminding you that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. And remember, if you don't have time to call in or you're in a place where you can't call in, you can always chat us up on the various social media outlets. Good morning, Joe. How you doing, sir?
All doing great today, Martin. Ready to get into the weekend.
Absolutely. Hey, and it's going to be a pretty one. Wonder how different the game would have felt last week if they were playing this week. I think when you take all of the fact that it wasn't on television and there was no television, minimal crowd, et cetera, it kind of took a little bit off of the the luster of the Alabama spring. And I think in some ways it may be good for the Alabama football team that they didn't have a lot of hype around the game as a whole. And the part that came out, I think, with the most hype, of course, was the defensive side of the ball. And they're expected it for the second year in a row. This defense is expected to carry this team until the offense catches up. And I think they'll be able to do it much better this year than last year. Joe, as you look at, there's a lot going on. We're going to do a little deal, no deal, but there's a couple of miscellaneous topics that, shout outs that I occasionally like to do. And one of those, of course, being Alabama softball women doing unbelievable again, and Montana Fouts being named, as a finalist. And you want to read more about that story. Fouts named finalist for USA Softball Player of the Year. You can go to tide109.com and read that article. If you want to keep up with where all of these you guys are going to be in full-time mode, Joe, tracking what's happening in the transfer portal. I think we have, 16 scholarship players from football plus, 4 or 5 walk-ons. And then the same thing in basketball. You got a total of 7 guys, including a couple walk-ons. But that's starting to happen. That's some guys starting to land. I'd like to get your thoughts. Holt and Gary both announcing their landing spots. Any surprise with Gary ending up in Nebraska and Holt ended up back in his home state at Georgia?
Not so much of a surprise for me for Jason Holt going back to Georgia, especially considering how many players Georgia themselves they lost a ton of players this year too. So they were looking for a lot of players. But Gary, I expected to go land somewhere in the state of South Carolina. I
I did
believe
too.
South Carolina.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me. But I mean,
Yeah.
I wish him well.
Yeah.
That was a surprise to me.
Yeah, when you say Nebraska in basketball, I literally have to go, oh, Nebraska does have a basketball team. I mean, I'm not being funny with that. That's a name, and I don't know if they're good, bad, middle of the road or not. That's just a name you never hear mentioned in the basketball world. Now, if you take, it was funny. My thought process when I heard that, Joe, was um, well, I don't know what type of basketball team they have, but if I was thinking what type they have, I would go off of their football program. Gary's going to be a good fit. I mean, I know that sounds weird. I don't know why I thought, but maybe he'll be a great fit there. But Alabama basketball, do you think these other guys though, man, are gonna end up potentially regretting some of it? We know Rojas landed at Wichita State, which is a program that's kind of um, lost some of its luster over the last few years, but not a bad basketball program. And then you start looking at all the other names, man. There's a lot of guys still out there in the portal. From Chiku, Quinley, uh, Britton Johnson, um, and Hilton still waiting. Do you see those guys landing anywhere?
Well, Brenton Johnson tweeted yesterday
Okay.
he would be making an announcement today
Okay.
for where he's landing. So we'll find out at 11:30. Be looking for his Twitter or right here on Tide 109. We'll probably put something out for that. Jaden Quinterly, the younger Quinterly brother. Shoot, yeah, your guess is as good as mine. He's a walk on here, so I'm not real sure what his market is looking like. Keon Ambrose Hilton is an interesting prospect to me because I always thought he was a guy that didn't really get I don't want to say a fair shake, but didn't really get a lot of playing time. I
Right.
thought especially this year, he could have helped us in the rebounding department.
Yep.
But Martin, I'm not in practice, so I'm not sure what all went on,
Yeah.
behind the scenes. I hope he ends up somewhere. He's a big body guy. I figure he's going to be a valuable commodity. And just to close a loop, Nebraska basketball, Martin was 10-22 last year.
Oh, okay. So I wasn't wrong for not knowing much about them. And I'm like you. I thought Alex and Hilton, with the way this team played at times, I just thought they could have at least got a shot. And so to me, it almost like there was something that didn't fit. And I just wonder if that was the case with those guys. Was there
Well, I know
and
Shiku,
yeah. Go ahead.
with Shiku, what I heard for the last probably 6 to 8 months was that he grew up playing guard and never really learned how to play the big man role. So he came to Alabama trying to learn how to play that style. And so I understand he
Okay.
never got off the bench that much. But Keon Ambrose Hilton, I thought he would have helped us in the rebounding department a lot this year. But once again, back to coach. Back to I was not in practice, so there might be something else going on there.
That's interesting. I had not heard that about Chiku at guard, but that makes more sense because you're like, man, I mean, Rojas and Gary were not like, oh my God, dominant. Oh my God, they're just so good. And I thought, man, how bad do our other guys have to be that they can't break in front of those guys? And of course, all of them are gone now. So, with that said, also want to give out a shout out to Bohannon. I know that I know they lost to Tennessee and had a close loss earlier this week, but he's doing some good things. Joe, when you look at what baseball has done and what they're doing, so wanted to give him a shout out as well, and hopefully they can get pick back up their winning ways. They've had bigger wins this year, to me, more big wins this year already than they've had in the past couple of years combined. So, sweeping a couple of, sweeping a top 10 team, getting a couple wins against top 10 opponents. So hopefully he can just continue to build on it. That may be the toughest job on the capstone, Joe, with the fact that Alabama is literally surrounded by teams that have lotteries and scholarship programs that they can give to baseball players to bump up the 13 point whatever percent that they get in baseball. Plus Mississippi State, their power game, Joe, is you don't have to pay out of state tuition. Um, we've lost several of the top players from the state of Alabama, top players, and a couple times the top player to Mississippi State. So, oh yeah, and then don't forget, he's recruiting well, but he's recruiting so well that he's got a couple guys he's drafted that are playing in the league instead of playing here, right? And so,
Yeah, one of the big prospects he signed 2 years ago
right,
is already playing with the Padres. He's a kid from Alabama, got drafted
right.
pretty early. He's playing with the Padres.
Right. And so this kid, he's playing with the Padres and he'd be, somewhere in that lineup. So it's a tough gig. Hopefully Alabama may even make some rules where they can lax the out of state or something. I don't know. Maybe, Joe, maybe the NIL. Could baseball, as we get ready to go to break, we'll come back on the other side, do a little deal, no deal. Could baseball potentially benefit from the NIL deal in such a way that it could help those who love baseball? Should start a pool that gives him some money where there may not be a scholarship, but there may be enough money.
Well, Martin, I'm glad you asked. The Alabama baseball program, or Alabama baseball team, I think the boosters will say, have a little organization called the Alabama Grand Slammers.
Yep.
And you can be a part of it. Check it out. We've got articles on it on Tide 100.9, but you can also, I think it's just alabamagrandslammers.com, and there's 3 or 4 tiers of membership if you want to join the Grand Slammers, and each tier gets you a certain. I think the top tier gets you kind of like a dugout tour and a talk to a lunch with Brad Bohannon or something like that. So each tier, I think the lowest tier is like a polo, gets you like a polo or something. So you just if you're interested in Alabama baseball, you want to support the program, look up Alabama Grand Slammers. You can get yourself some cool merchandise or experiences as well as supporting the program.
Yeah, and now that program can do some things that, hey, can help with him. It'll be interesting to see. I'll watch that and see what happens, because to me that's a way potentially for him to get there. Hey, maybe all the parents playing travel ball can just start putting that money aside. And I'm being messy.
You're dead right on that.
I mean, the parents spend, and there's some kids who in that travel ball, they are good enough to play, and I'm glad the kids get the experience. But a lot of times, I'm like, that money could have been spent as a. You spent more on the travel than you did on the scholarship, but to each his own. Go ahead, Joe. We'll get the break after that.
Just baseball. Baseball's becoming one of these sports. Basketball's kind of got with the AAU scene a little bit, but baseball, especially with soccer, I don't know what we're doing with these sports, gatekeeping these sports with travel ball and AAU. So it bugs me thinking about how especially soccer works in this country. I think we would have a much better future in soccer if we weren't gatekeeping the sport so much. And same with baseball. You look at the popularity of the sport at the major league level, and it's declining. And you're seeing a lot of foreign-born players playing in MLB, and that's great, good for them. But the average American player they're going to other sports, and it just I don't know.
Well, Joe, the
youth sports system drives me nuts.
Yeah, we probably need to spend some time on that. I think baseball, of course, to me is a new golf, meaning that it's only the best players aren't necessarily playing it. the best players who make it to the league are the players who make it to the league are the best players in America. The problem is the best players are maybe getting washed out at a youth age because they don't have a legit shot. Because competition makes you better, and if I can't afford to play in the travel on the travel circuit, then I don't mature and get better if I'm the kid a lot of times just having to play at the non-travel parks, if that makes sense. So yeah, we probably need to put a little note on that, Joe. Youth sports in America, a broken system, in my opinion, that needs some work, and maybe we can help do something about that. Come back on the other side. We're gonna have a little more deal, no deal, right here on the Martin Houston Show. Auburn, the number 3 college town. Where did the Tide finish? 1 or 2 or below? We'll talk about that. Got a little deal, no deal question for you on that and several other things. Coming back on the other side, we'll have more of the Martin Houston Show. As we go to break, I want to remind you about Alabama One. Alabama One, we got a Big Green Egg promotion opportunity for you to win a Big Green Egg with our current promotion. Order a tractor with a side of a big green egg. That's right, commercial and ag equipment. Anything related there, you get a loan. Rates as low as 1.99. You can get qualified to win that big green egg, or whatever floats your boat, whether it's a boat, RV, motorcycle, UTV, golf carts, etc. You can get that same low rate at 1.99, as low as 1.99, and then you also get qualified to win a big green egg. We're giving away 12 of them, so it's not too late for you to get in on the contest and get that toy taken care of. That's Alabama One, alabama1.org, Alabama One together.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a couple of wrecks on the Interstate 2059. This is westbound near exit 45 in Utah. If you see other conditions this morning, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Come have some fun at your hometown dealer, Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
In a collision, easy decision. Make one call to one name. Mesrano, 206-6300.
No representation with the quality legal services to be performed. Takes where the quality legal services performed by other law.
Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa. Quality is number one. You got to start with a good quality product, but it's got to be at a good value to the customers.
Everything is about quality.
You just can't beat the quality, taste, and value.
It's because we take pride in providing you with the best.
Good customer service and good food, good quality.
We want to make sure that we give that to them each and every time they come and visit us.
The sense of pride that we have in the quality, the consistency of our food carries over to everything we do in the stores. That's Taco Casa.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Get Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code USA for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code USA. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code USA for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code USA for a $5 bonus.
My caretaker was very rough with me. I thought they did it because I wasn't moving fast enough.
Elder abuse is a crime, and together we can stop it. If you or someone you know has been abused, neglected, or exploited, call the Adult Abuse Hotline at 1-800-458-7214. That's 1-800-458-7214. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, the Department of Justice, ADECA grant number 18 VA VS 050, the ABA, and this station.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A good supply of sunshine today with a warm afternoon, the high 83. Towards light fair with the low at 59. Get ready for the warmest weekend so far this year. Mostly sunny tomorrow and Sunday. Highs between 84 and 87 degrees. I'm James Spann of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 57 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith at Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904. Tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
All right, Martin, you're back. Pat's on hold, and you got back into Florida.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. Hey, listen, I know I mentioned a couple things in that first break, and I want to remind you that, hey, you can go and find out more about some of those things I mentioned, and there's a lot more happening at Tide 100.9. So go ahead and head over to that, tide109.com, and also for great articles. And also remember that, if you're at your computer at work, and you can always, listen to Tide 109 all day long that way as well at 109.com. Just 109.com. Tide109.com. All right. Let me ask you a question, then we'll get to Pat. Coach Stallings said something yesterday that kind of made me think about something you had said earlier or sent out earlier in the week. And let me get to that so I can read exactly what Coach Stallings said. But Joe, we're going to get to Pat, but I want you to be thinking about this, and he can respond to this as well if he wants to. But deal, no deal type of question here. Has the success of Auburn against Nick Saban, because the reality of it is, we won the game this year, but we were clearly the best team and needed a miracle comeback to win. Numerous times over the years, Gus has had, success as well. And Nick Saban has actually never beaten an Auburn team that has won 9 or more games. Okay? Think about that for a second. If Auburn has been good, we've not beaten them. Right, Joe? I mean, would you say 9 or more wins qualifies as a good team?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so and if I'm correct, I think that record still holds. He's never beat a 9 or more win team, Auburn team. Auburn was voted top 3 best college town, and does that atmosphere that they create when you go down there play into that a little bit? Then the coaching staff did what they call it, the Tiger Takeover or something like that, where they visited. They had a game plan to visit every high school in the state of Alabama in like a 3-day window. Getting a lot of street cred right now with these new coaches. And something that Coach Stallings said yesterday. When I worked for Coach Bryant, he wanted a player that grew up hating Auburn. I'd say the player now, talking about Alabama players, don't even know where Auburn is. I've said it numerous times. Ryan Fowler and I have talked about it. I wouldn't trade it necessarily. But when I came here, people were coming to play for the Crimson jersey. And there was a disdain that grew, whether you came here with it or not, against Auburn. And as other teams have ramped up their game, Georgia is probably more of a threat and more hated than Auburn. LSU held that spot for a while. Clemson holds that spot. Ohio State. So all of those things going together, Joe. The deal, no deal question is it the fact that Auburn looks at this game still a lot of ways with the same disdain that the Coach Bryant's, the Coach Stallings, the hatred on the Auburn side for Alabama is still as great as it's always been. So hold on to that thought. We'll get a deal, no deal. But Pat, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
I agree with what you just said because one Martin Houston was nearly an Auburn Tiger if it hadn't been for Pat Dye. Didn't think he was fast enough.
Well, hey, listen, Joe, Pat, what actually pushed me over to Alabama was I came to watch Alabama play Florida when Emmitt Smith was there. I had a defensive back named Lewis Oliver. Emmitt Smith was the running back. And they beat Alabama like they stole something. And then I started going, okay. I'd never even been in touch because I was up at Legion Field. And I looked and I said, okay, they have two senior fullbacks. I think I can beat these other guys out. But when I committed, Kevin Turner was injured. The two seniors had graduated. William Kent was at tailback, and Robert Stewart was at linebacker. So it was going to be me competing against Kevin Turner and walk-ons. And when I showed up on campus, Wayne Shaw was healthy. Kevin Turner was healthy. Robert Stewart had been moved to fullback, and William Kent had been moved to fullback. So it was a little different by the time I got here. But anyway, go ahead. That's not what you called about. What you got, Pat?
Yeah, man. I got my fourth COVID shot yesterday, and just have a slight headache. But I saw where Stephen Colbert, the guy that does the television show at night, the sarcasm guy.
Yeah.
Hey, he couldn't do his television show because he caught COVID. And,
what's COVID?
Yeah, exactly. What's COVID? Well, I know I want to tell you is that Omicron had me to the point that it was the worst for a solid week. It was the worst flu-like symptoms times by two I've ever been around. I promise you that.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, it gets different people different ways.
Absolutely.
And the thing about it is, the Omicron and the BA.2, both of them, a mask will do you hardly any good at all. And I would agree with that because I was doing pretty much what I could do to stay away from it, and it still got me.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing with this whole thing the whole time, Pat. What you just described has described the whole.
Going to the hospital.
Do it now.
I believe that the shots keep me from going to the hospital. I do believe that.
You're probably right.
I said I believe that the shots.
No, I said you're probably right.
You know, because there's because people still are dying. My doctor in Gulfport, his cousin died about 2 weeks ago on Saturday. He did have some other underlying situation.
Pat,
you're still dead.
Pat, you know why? You know why I preach the gospel, Pat?
Because you always want to be prepared when it
Because people die every day from something.
Sure.
So that's why
cemeteries every day.
That's right. So, yeah. What else you got, Pat?
Hey, I want you to have a blessed weekend, and that anybody that's coming to the Gulf down here, that stay out of the water. The riptide is something else, and more people die from a riptide than they do from hurricanes or anything else.
So won't we just put a fence up so they can't go to the water, and then they won't nobody ever. If we get rid of water, Pat, and swimming pools, and block off the oceans, nobody ever drown again.
Hey, well, they say plain drowning's the most peaceful way to die. But anyway, besides all that, hey, have a blessed weekend, Mark Houston.
You too, Pat. Thanks, man.
Y'all be good.
Have a good one. Roll Tide. Well, we need to get the break there. I get Pat want to talk about COVID there. Maybe some of you want to get back into the conversation regarding deal no deal. As I tossed up, I'll put the deal no deal simply this way. Can you take the SEC phrase and apply it to the Alabama-Auburn game on the Auburn side? The Iron Bowl. Could this be a slogan? If I was Auburn, part of my recruiting process within the state, Joe, would be it just means more. And I will be applying that to the Iron Bowl. And is that a true statement? Deal or no deal when it comes to the Iron Bowl, it just means more to the Auburn Tigers than it does the Crimson Tide. We'll talk about that as well as a few more deal no deal questions. And if you want to get in on the conversation, you can join George from Macon at 205-342-9904, the Alabama One hotline, open for business. And as we go to break there, I want to remind you about Southmark Design. Southmark Design is the official outfitter of the Martin Houston Show. Go check them out at southmarkdesign.com. Scott Smith and his team will be glad to help you with any of your promotional needs. You got any family reunion coming up, big events, anything you need to produce a shirt for, they can help with that as well as all your other promotional needs. That's Southmark Design, southmarkdesign.com, the official outfitter of the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a couple of wrecks on the Interstate 1 on 2059 West.
Boulevard right next door to Alabama One, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. We have the pads, rotors, drums, shoes, and brake fluids to improve your stopping power. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with a set of Duralast brake pads. Missing a tool? Ask about our free Loan-A-Tool program and borrow the tools you need to get the job done. Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021. Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool.
Has the pandemic affected your business? Even with more and more customers going online in the past 5 years, online business has grown greatly due to the pandemic. Now more than ever, it's important to have a strong online presence so that customers can find your business and products easily. That's where Townsquare comes in to help. Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free competitive analysis to see how your business stands up to the competition. And if you're one of the first to sign up, you'll get $500 in free advertising on this radio station. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like you're going 100 miles an hour, barely keeping up. But to cruise through challenges, you need someone who's right there with you. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PCs and tech advice you need to get past whatever's in front of you and get where you want to go. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Hey, I want to tell you about a upcoming event. It's only 27 days away. That's the Awakening service. Awakening is a community-wide service that's going to be hosted at the Links. It's located right off of Watermelon Road, right next to TCAT Church. It's going to be a community-wide worship service at 6:30 p.m. Starting May 19th. It's a monthly service, once a month on that third Thursday at 6:30. That's the Awakening. Some powerful worship, powerful preaching of the word. Come out and be a part of it. Help support the Awakening. That's going to be launching on May 19th. Looking forward to being a part of that. Invite you to be there and be a part as well. If you go to my Facebook page, you can share it, and the organizers of the event will enter your name into a chance to win an Awakening T-shirt. All right. As we were going to break there, does it just mean more in terms of the Iron Bowl? We'll bring George in to the conversation. George from Macon, you're in with the Martin Houston Show on the Alabama One Hotline. George, I'll ask you and then let you talk about whatever you call it talk about. But when it comes to the Iron Bowl, has the Auburn success been heightened because the Iron Bowl just means more on the plains?
Martin, I don't think it does, but I will say this. There's a certain energy on the plains that sort of goes their way. The kick six, the prayers, George Hare from Georgia. But no,
How do you explain the lopsided success that Auburn has had against Nick Saban, against Alabama, when Alabama clearly has been the better team numerous times?
okay, as much as I hate to say it, there have been a couple of times where Coach Saban has been out-coached, especially their last victory. What was that? 3 or 3 years?
So if he's been out coached, doesn't that make Gus Malzahn simply a better coach if he can take the disparity of talent consistently, remember, and beat the most talented team in the country? Doesn't that make Gus Malzahn a better coach? Because he consistently out coached him every other year or so.
I know, I agree with you, and when I have to think about it and agree with you, it almost makes me throw up.
Okay.
Gus Malzahn is a gadget type coach. There were times when they, was it 2010 when they won the national championship, And in 2012 or 13, when they made the finals, they ran that up-tempo offense that people were not used to yet. And, he did a good job. In fact, when they fired Gus Malzahn, I was kind of happy because he is an incredible offensive-minded coach he's a gadget type coach that does things that other coaches not do.
Let me give you gadget. This was not the kick six. He called a timeout and placed. Hold on, and placed a guy at the field goal. Boom, not a gadget. That's scouting. And
I'm agreeing with you. We got out coached, and it makes me want to throw up to have to admit that Gus Malzahn has out coached Nick Saban. How hard do you think it is for me to say that? But it's true.
And I would say he out coached him, but the players wanted the game more than Alabama players do. I would hate to see what would happen. And hey, I'm an Alabama guy, George. I would hate to see what would happen if we had nothing to play for going into that Iron Bowl. I would hate to see the egg we would lay.
Well, let me say this. Remember Ray Perkins' first year? Auburn did have a better team, better talent, but we figured out a way to win. And I think that when you have nothing else to play for, and that one game can make your season, the juices probably do flow a little bit better because all you're worried about is that one game. But if you got a lot to play for, you're worried more about not to lose than to win the game.
Okay, so yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I disagree with it in this sense, George. Listen, we had national championships to play for, and they had nothing.
I agree with you, but we were playing more not to lose than to win the game because there was so much more on the line. We're tightened up. Plus, those games, Auburn had a pretty decent team.
Hey, listen, yeah, and I think it comes down to is what Coach Stallings said. Most of these kids don't even know where Auburn is and don't know what the Iron Bowl means. In Tuscaloosa.
I will agree with that. There was a time when we were going through some tough times with the three mics, and things were going pretty rough with us. I remember Coach Dye saying that the guys that are playing at Alabama right now, they don't know what that crimson jersey means. And he said that verbatim.
Yep.
But I think that as far as the fandom goes, beating Auburn, I mean, I won't wear an orange. I will not wear an orange and blue shirt. I refuse to. I will refuse to wear anything that's Under Armour because it's UA.
I think you're answering it from the fan standpoint, George. I would agree. I think to the fans, the Iron Bowl still means a lot. I'm talking about to the players.
I also think the players around, the good players around the state and around the nation, I think are more friendly with each other than they used to be because they see each other all the time at camps and visits and that sort of thing. So the hatred does not have, it just isn't festered.
Yeah.
Like it used to be because of all the visits they have and all the, they're
the camps
with each other at camps. I think that has a lot to play with it also.
Hey, listen, my best friend from high school played at Auburn. His dad was my high school coach.
Mm-hmm.
He was the enemy. He was Russia or China for 4 quarters, baby. Hey, George, he made the wrong call, George. He defected to the wrong team. I'm sorry. So for 4 quarters, George, he was the enemy, and I was going to annihilate him. After the game over, I gave him a hug.
Players within each other because they have more contact with each other.
Yeah.
They're never going to feel the intense hatred for each other that the fans do and the coaches do.
Correct.
We hate on them because that game, winning it can keep your job. Losing it, you can lose your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I got one other thing.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Talking about, you know, how coaches have to appease other coaches, head coaches or assistant coaches. I forgot what the conversation was, but I remember back, you know, in your time, Alabama, Coach Stallings hired I don't know if it's an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, or what it was, but, you know, he was one of those hot new commodities of, you know, how it happens sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody shows something new, and that assistant coach or that coordinator gets real high on the totem pole, and everybody thinks they're great.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they asked Coach Stallings, what are you going to do to, you know, appease this assistant coach? And I remember him saying verbatim, it's his job to make me happy, not the other way around. And when you were talking about something like that comes back to the mind. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Coach Stallings was one of a kind. Well, all of Alabama coaches that have been successful were one of a kind.
But he's definitely special. He says it. God Almighty, it's his job to please me, not the other way around, man. That's right.
I mean, he did. I mean, I forgot what y'all were talking about that morning. But
Coach.
But I had to get.
No, Coach Saban was asked about whether about appeasing the players, and he said that's not his job. So, all right, thanks, George. We appreciate you, man.
Take care, my friend. See ya.
Take care, George. Hey, coming back on the other side, we'll get Chuck, and we may have to keep some of this deal no deal until the next week, Joe. But I love Blind Squirrel Sports. He's a dog fan, but he's also part of our network every day. He said, I have relatives in Florida, but during football season, we ain't family. And so that says it all right there. We ain't family or friends during football and during the football season. So, and I don't know if that's the way these Alabama guys feel about the Auburn guys. I think they feel that way about Georgia now. I think if you ask them about Georgia, they feel that way. But anyway, coming back on the other side, we'll get Chuck, and we'll also wrap up this conversation about the Iron Bowl. And I'm going to toss a question out there, probably have you hanging out and thinking about it all weekend long. What's that? You have to come back to hear it on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a couple of wrecks on the Interstate. One on 2059 westbound before exit 86 at Covered Bridge Road. Another westbound near mile marker 45 down in Greene County near Utah. If you see other conditions, give me a call. Nobody does it like Townsend Nissan. They're fair, fast, with a fun family environment. They do it right. Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Friday morning. Today is the last day you can submit your opinion about the move of the Benjamin Barnes branch of the YMCA into the McDonald Hughes Center in West End. The City Council recently approved that move from the current aging facility. And YMCA of Tuscaloosa CEO Jeff Dodds told News Partner WBOA 23 it's long overdue. The current Barnes branch was built in 1961. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. It's free. I'm Don Hartley.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb Series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing LLC.
What makes mulch so lovable? The texture? The smell? Well, it's not just people that love mulch. Your plants do too. Retaining moisture and regulating soil temps, it's the whole package. And when you use Scott's Earth Grow or exclusive Vigoro wood mulches, you can even pick the color. What's not to love? Stop in for mulch and everything else you need this season. It feels like spring at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
In a collision, easy decision. Make one call to one name, Mesrano, 206-6300. No representation by the Quantum Legal Services to be performed. It's where the Quantum Legal Services performed by other lawyers.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with Premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with Premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K. How convenient.
Straight Talk Wireless now has the new iPhone 13 with cinematic mode, which lets you focus on what matters. And with Straight Talk, you can focus on getting the best deal. Our Silver Unlimited plan is just $45 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. And it runs on the largest, most dependable networks, now with nationwide 5G. With the iPhone 13 on Straight Talk, you can share whatever you want, wherever you want. Straight Talk Wireless. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Our boss is at Great House.
Welcome back in. Let's get things going. Let's get to Chuck on the Alabama One hotline as we bring him in, reminding you about Alabama One Insurance, alabamaoneinsurance.com. Go check them out. Stop by the branch location, 205-342-0112, 205-342-0112. That's Alabama One Insurance. Or you can just request that quote online at alabamaoneinsurance.com or stop by the branch location, the main location on 15th Street. We'll review your policy, reduce your premium, and you can relax knowing that your keyword here, properly covered. Don't just be covered. Make sure you're properly covered, and Alabama One Insurance can help you with that. All right, Chuck, you're with the Martin Hughes Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning to you. I see you came back on playing Far Side. That's my generation, rap and our generation, Far Side. But listening to you all talking about the Iron Bowl, yeah, I see how serious it is. And I was looking at T.J. Watson's comment. He was talking about Coach Stallings talking about Coach Saban recruiting geographically, why geographically. And I think about a lot of those guys wouldn't know that the seriousness of that Iron Bowl, those who are from California and these other places.
Correct.
I can imagine. Just think back to Coach Bryant. Bringing someone like, having someone like Joe Namath as quarterback there, coming from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. I can imagine he had to be schooled about that rivalry, and coming from Pennsylvania. And this night is being new. I can imagine Coach Bryant.
But the difference, Chuck, was that it was one or two, maybe three or four of those guys. Everybody else were in-state guys. Like when we won a national championship, start naming the guys: Copeland, Teague, Oden, myself, Jay Barker. All of us were Alabama guys. Our whole offensive line, Alabama guys. So even though you brought those guys in, there were players who had grown up in that rivalry. Okay, these kids, the majority of the Alabama players, I would say half or more, may not have even seen an Iron Bowl unless they saw it on a recruiting trip. And that's the difference.
You're exactly right. You just made a great point there. I remember you guys during that time. Yeah, you're all right there in Alabama. That's what I said. It was regional. I look at now, the fan base of Alabama has spread all over the country, all in New York and everywhere, overseas and everywhere.
Well, hey,
Alabama, yeah.
Hey, Chuck, just to point it out, there's a story once again at Tide 109. I think you guys, I don't know, did we write that story yet? But I read it somewhere this morning. The Ohio governor has signed a bill into law for University of Alabama license plates in Ohio. So that speaks to how much the brand has grown. And I'm gonna have to let you go, Chuck. But I want people to hear me. I'm not complaining about it because I'll take the lessening of the Iron Bowl for the 6 national titles. But this was just speaking of the Iron Bowl, and I think the Iron Bowl. Chuck, I got to go, but call back where you can talk again more. Thanks, sir. But Joe and I. All right, thank you. Joe, I'll let you get the closing comments on that. But I just think the Iron Bowl means more to Auburn. That's why there's been a lopsided relative success when you look at Auburn versus the Alabama during this Nick Saban era.
Well, Auburn's won five games in the Nick Saban era, 5-10. So they won a third of the games.
Right.
And really, you take. Yeah, I could make an argument. You take away the kick six and the comeback, and really the last win with Gus Malzahn with the field goal at the end of the first half. I'm not. You take those three things away, and you're looking at 2-13, and a couple of breaks go the other way. Doesn't mean. I understand what you're saying. I think Auburn just gets a bit more desperate,
Right.
and I think Auburn likes to really embrace the role of spoiler. I think when they have a better team, during the Saban era, we've always had.
Yeah, hey, their 9-win teams were always playing 10 wins or more.
Ruin a rival's season,
right?
And I'm sure Martin, going back to your history, that's a big thing.
Right.
If we can jam these other guys up before and keep them out of the title game, we're gonna do it.
Yes, right. And so I'm not saying that Auburn's been better than us. I'm saying that it's because of that what you just talked about. That the fact that I can ruin my rivals' hopes. I can ruin their season. I can keep them from a national title. I can keep them from an SEC. Because every time they beat us, we've had something on the line, that was bigger than the Iron Bowl, right? And
the year that we didn't was probably 2010. We already had
right,
lost team.
Right. That's probably, like you said, the only time.
Should have won that game.
Yeah. And no, don't get me wrong. We could easily be 15-0 in the Nick Saban era. You know what I mean? Like if we had, hey, put it like this, Joe, if we had just one more Alabama guy, no, I'm just kidding. Hey, here's the question I want y'all to think about all weekend long, Joe. Will Anderson. Is there anybody you make a deal with in the Nick Saban era for Will Anderson? Is there any player on any team that's been recruited by Nick Saban that you would say, I'll take that guy and you can have Will Anderson? And even to think about it this much, is there any 2 guys that you take? Just want you to think about that. Thanks to all the callers, listeners, viewers, and chatters right here on the Martin Houston Show. Think about that over the weekend. We'll talk about it on Monday. Hey, remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding, always acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Hey, come see us at Harvest Church Sunday at 10. We'd love to have you. Have a blessed day. Have a great weekend, and roll tide, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming.